How you doing, Judge Day?
Good. How are
Keeping
you?
you busy.
Yeah.
When they ask me, I'm like, can you talk to Judge Day? Because I'm not the expert on this. I don't think you want me to give any.
You can always do that, though.
I could be there as like maybe a sounding board, but
I may
that's
not
about
always
it.
be able to say anything about it, but absolutely feel free.
Well, thank you for attending those ones.
Of course.
Council members, just to let you know, we have started the YouTube stream. Typically, we wait until the meeting was called to order, but we do have some technical issues we were trying to work through today, so we are live on YouTube now.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go ahead and start the meeting. So we have no consent items. Does the committee have any changes to the minutes?
Nope.
Okay, I do have one correction on page 14. It said Councilmember Lawson asks for clarification, and it looks like there's like a correction. Let me just go to page 14, sorry. It's just a small error, and it's just me, probably.
Okay.
Well, this was on page 14 on the other one. Just give me 1 second here, I'm sorry. Okay, it says, it's on page 14. This is around the injection sites. And it asks for clarification. Okay. What page is it on this?
It's on page 16.
Okay. When I asked for clarification on the injection site, because I went against that,
I see it.
you see the little error there?
Yep.
Okay, so it was supposed to be 4. So just that correction. Okay, and that's it. Okay. All right. Hi, Jason. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do with federal update. Is Lori on the line? Or
Yes, I'm here. How are you? Good afternoon.
Lori?
Hi, good. So I'm going to do a quick debrief on your recent trip to DC. It was great to see all of you in person finally. And then I'm going to do a DC update and then hand it over to Liz to give an update on our earmark submissions to our delegation. So I thought it was a wonderful trip, but we had a lot of great meetings from DOJ to HUD to the White House to our delegation. I have a few items that I'm following up with Liz that we need to do, but I thought it was really exciting that HUD is going to be at the City Alliance in Denver, Colorado, and has expressed interest in coming to visit some of our projects in Aurora. And it was great that the regional administrator is a friend of all of ours as a former state legislator. So I'm going to follow up on that. I am sending information. I'm going to set up a meeting for Public Works and Transportation with USDOT to go over a couple programs that they're interested in applying for this upcoming year. And then on the White House, I'm going to send them, I told Kathy Kitzman, I'm going to send them a one-pager on some of the drought projects they've been working on, because the White House seemed to be very interested, since unfortunately Colorado River shortage is on everyone's mind right now in DC. DC update, the president released his budget request yesterday, and this is an outline of the president's priorities for programs and projects as Congress considers its annual appropriation bills to fund the federal agencies. It was an outline yesterday. More details will come up on Monday. So now the congressional committees are beginning to hold hearings with agency leadership. We have some opportunities with our delegation members, for example, who serve on committees where they oversee Department of Interior or USADA, the Department of Agriculture. And I'm working with your staff to see if perhaps we could submit questions for our delegation to outline when the agency leadership testifies before their committees. So now preparations is in full swing. Liz and I have been working on submitting appropriation forms to our delegation. And so Liz, I'm going to hand it off to you to give some of the details of the projects.
Awesome. So very exciting. We were able to submit 4 projects to our Senate offices. The deadline was today. We got them all in. So that's very good news. The projects that we were able to submit are in the packet on page 23, just so you're all aware and have that information. But we did do the water pipeline replacement, the pressure regulating valve, the 9-mile bridge, and then the public library one as well. So we're going to follow up with the offices beginning of next week, just to determine what the Senate is going to pick up from us. And then from that, whatever they decide not to pick up, we will submit to Congressman Crow. So we're not duplicating efforts for our congressional offices. But we're very optimistic. They really like the projects that we have when we met with them. So yeah, are there any questions on any of that?
Okay, great, thank you.
Any questions for me?
No, but Lori, thank you so much for your hospitality in DC, and that, I do feel like that was a very, 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 very productive trip.
Oh, good.
It's one of the better trips that we've had from that advocacy trip. So thank you so much for all your help on that, and I really do appreciate everything you did, as well as Liz, Roberto, and I think Councilmember Mercano, you were on the trip as well. So thank you for your, attending.
And thanks for making our job easy. You're amazing lobbyist yourself. And you did a great job of telling and reminding the delegation agencies our war story.
Yeah, Councilmember Jurinsky did tell me that one time, but I didn't believe her, so. Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
Thank you.
anything else? And we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll see you, and I'll see Angela. I'll follow up with Liz on that
Okay,
in
thanks.
person. Okay, bye.
Okay, we have our state legislative update. So we're gonna start with Peggy. Hi, Peggy.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. Good. Apologies for not being there in person. We have committee this afternoon, so I snuck away to join you guys. But just want to give a quick update on a few bills that we're following. I'm going to start off with some happy news. We were successful in defeating House Bill 1118. This is the prescriptive scheduling bill that the city opposed. That was PI'd in committee last week. So that was a win for the city. A couple updates on additional legislation we're following. Senate Bill 111, the city's actively opposing this. This is the Public Employees Workplace Protection Bill. It is going to be in Senate appropriations next Friday. There are amendments that CML is asking for specifically to exclude local governments from the bill. Probably won't get those in appropriations. They really try to keep the amendments focused to fiscal issues. So that bill will probably get out of appropriations. We've taken an opposed position on that bill and working with CML to defeat it. In terms of legislation that we are supporting, the authority of public-private collaboration units for housing. This is Senate Bill 1. It passed local government in the Senate and is waiting to get a hearing in appropriations. A lot of these bills are sitting in appropriations. We're going to be starting the budget process at the end of the month, I think the week of the 27th. The Senate will start the budget long bill. So these bills will start moving after or in conjunction with the long bill. But this one's parked in Senate appropriations right now. Additionally, the deletion of child's name from criminal justice records also parked in Senate appropriation after it passed the Health and Human Services Committee unanimously. I'm sorry, the Judiciary Committee unanimously. The motor vehicle theft and unauthorized use bill, this is Senate Bill 97 that we're supporting. It passed out of Senate appropriations this morning and was put on the consent calendar. So it should pass next week in the Senate, and then we'll move to the House. The Court Data Sharing Task Force legislation, 1132. This is the bill for modernizing the judicial system, or at least starting the process of modernizing the judicial system. It passed the House Appropriations Committee unanimously this morning and will be on second reading on the House floor tomorrow. The House is working tomorrow. They worked until 7 a.m. this morning, doing a gun bill and the safe injection site bill. That bill passed on second reading at 7 a.m. this morning. So it'll be on third reading tomorrow morning, and then we'll head over to the Senate. And just general update, we are halfway through session yesterday. So the glass is half full and getting fuller as we go on, which is great news.
Okay. Councilmembers,
That's all I've got for you so far.
Jurinsky, do you guys have any questions? Want to follow up on? No.
Peg, I do.
Okay, sure.
Peggy, just, and I know that you might not know yet, but as it goes over, as the safe injection bill goes over to the Senate, do you foresee any hurdles for it there?
Yeah, I think there are some potential hurdles for it over there. I know the Republicans in the House were working on some amendments. Things got a little tense during the gun legislation, so unfortunately, I don't think it was quite the collaborative process that it could have been in the House. So I do think we'll see additional amendments to that bill in the Senate. If we don't see additional amendments, I think the bill, there's a potential for it to have a really hard time passing.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Mercano, do you have any questions for Peggy? I see you virtually.
Good time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate it. Okay. Judge Day, you're a line item on our agenda now, so.
Yeah, no,
why don't you-
I like that he gets the Judge Day update.
Yeah, so I made you actually a line item on the agenda, so,
Well,
Right.
thank you for that.
for your report.
I appreciate it. I'll just piggyback a little bit on what Peggy's already reported on. The 1132 bill, which is the court data sharing bill, it did pass out of appropriations with the unanimous vote. So it's had 2 votes right now. Both have been unanimous. So I think there's a lot of bipartisan support for it. There was an outreach by Rep. Bockenfeld, who still may want to meet and talk about the bill and the fiscal impact of the bill. We're trying to set something up, but because he sits on appropriations, and I know he was busy today, he still may want to meet, and if you're okay with me meeting with him, I will talk about the bill. So happy to do it.
And I'm happy to follow up with him, Judge Day, just to confirm if he wants to meet with you.
If he still does, I know that he may have had some questions before that vote in appropriations, but if he has some other questions before it makes it to third reading, thirds in the House, I'm happy to meet with him.
It's just a question. I think I asked Liz this because he's in a smaller community. He represents a smaller jurisdiction, right? I'm just wondering, because some of the smaller jurisdictions, it's not when I explained this at CML, it wasn't a mandate. I'm not saying he was there, but some of the smaller jurisdictions had issues because it's not a mandate, they can opt into it, but they said that, the fiscal piece and they didn't feel like it was really needed. So is he part of a smaller
You mean smaller towns?
town, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
municipality? Okay.
He may
He has
be,
like
but
Venice.
his
Oh, he does? Okay.
House district is pretty big.
But it just has
Also
lots of
Southeast
local-
Aurora as well.
Oh,
He
okay.
also has a partner. Aurora.
Okay, okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. And
South Shore.
to be on point with that thought or concern,
Mhm.
the fiscal note of this bill won't be that great. In fact, they added an appropriations to it. And so that was one of the amendments that was added in appropriations today, where they put, I think it was like $135,000 behind the bill. And that's really just to cover the costs of drafting the report. That's a mandate of the bill. When we're finished with the task force, we got to put it in writing, obviously, and get it back before the legislature by next session. And so they needed to put some money behind the cost of drafting that report. That's all that was added to it in appropriations. When we talk, and to be a part of that conversation, one of the things that we will propose, I can foresee that we will propose, is an opt-in or opt-out of whatever system we propose to meet the mandate of this bill as to how we can pull everybody together and build a system that will work for everybody, including small communities. I'm very familiar with a lot of the smaller communities and their concerns about. There will be quite a few in the room. Rep. Weissman will be there as well. We have proposed amendments to the bill as it's currently written. We provided that to staff, and I'm happy to send it to the committee if it wasn't included in the packet. You should have seen it in the packet. Really what the amendment is that it saves the intent of the current bill to where municipal courts cannot prosecute domestic violence cases unless, and then the unless is that we comply with the VRA, the Victims' Rights Act. The second part would be that the municipality adopt the same sentencing structure as the state. The third is that they comply with the mandatory protective order requirements within the state statutes, which all the courts that are handling DV cases right now, they do. They enter protective orders. So that's part of the amendment that we've offered. They've had it in their hand for quite some time, so I'm hopeful, somewhat optimistic that that's what will be the main topic of conversation when we meet on Monday as to what we have proposed. When I say we, I mean the Colorado Municipal Judges Association, CMJA.
Just so everyone knows, the amendment language is on page 54 in the packet.
So I hope this is a signal that they're willing to meet to talk about amendments to the bill that will help everybody out. We have still not seen the fiscal note on the bill, and I think the fiscal note's going to be pretty telling for the bill. So I'll let you know as soon as I see it. Every day we check and we haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Is there any other?
Not unless there's something other specific bill that you want me.
No, I mean, I'm just anything that you have, that you've want to go
Judge,
over.
I just have one thing to add, and I'm sorry I was late. I actually happened to be in a meeting with the Chief Probation Officer. And she said that she had talked with you earlier and that she was able this week to talk with the probation officer in the 18th. And that they had some recent meeting, probably something similar to this, and found out, and that was Douglas Gray, that state judicial had recently been asked for the fiscal information. And so that what he said was that they had recently given the fiscal information
On this bill?
over on that
Okay.
bill.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means it will be shortly coming further, but he had indicated that that's what their meeting was, that they had just given that over, so.
Okay. Well, Julie, since you're here, do you have anything?
Just, I think all the things that Judge Day talked about and that came up in public safety recently,
Okay.
that if there is going to be an ordinance saying that we have no issue and that we would fully comply with the VRA, that's something that our office would like to be able to do. We've done the best we can in the spirit of the VRA, but we don't have the type of staffing that DA's offices have, where they have large numbers of victim advocates that are on every single case. So we're doing what we can with what we have with our victim witness liaisons, but that's the one thing. And possibly probation, again, I was talking with her about something else, but they try, once somebody is on probation, to let the victims know what's happening, but in the past, they've usually been doing that after a victim reaches out to them. But they're gonna be trying to do it proactively now on all cases, but just that's a staffing issue, but we have no issue with doing that.
Okay.
Which we've explained to CML also.
Okay.
That if that's something we'd be willing to do and want to be able to do.
Councilmember Zvonek.
Yeah, so I assume the fiscal note would just be the impact to the 4 judicial districts and the public defender, state public defenders, is that right?
That's correct. I don't believe that there are any other judicial districts that have municipal
1, 2,
courts.
17, and 18.
1, 2, 17.
And have those DAs weighed in?
I believe, yes, they have. I know that there's been conversations that we've had with state judicial and all 4 judicial districts. I don't know if DA King and don't know if DA Mason have weighed in specifically on it.
You mean DA Kellner?
Kellner initially wanted to review what the bill was, and we've reached out and I think more indirectly than directly have received some, at least my understanding, that CDAC is going to oppose unless amended as well.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's changed recently. It's been a while since we've had that conversation.
Do Councilmember Jurinsky and Zvonek, do you have any other questions about the judicial update?
No.
Judge Day's update? Okay.
There's another bill, 1169, which was assigned to House Judiciary. 1169 is concerning non-arrests of low-level offenses. It's a bill that's being run right now with only one sponsor, and that's Rep. Bacon. It was supposed to go to House Judiciary on the 7th, but it was pulled. And we don't know we haven't heard what's happening with that bill. What it would do is it would limit the ability to arrest somebody upon first contact, if you will, after probable cause is established for certain offenses. I know that there was going to be a lot of pushback on that bill, specifically some business owners and such. It would also have impact, obviously, on our camping issue. But it was pulled, and I don't know if it is going to be calendared again. So I'll let you know if it is in the updates.
I know you had some, we talked about this bill 4 weeks ago. You
Yeah.
want to give your thoughts on this?
As far as
From
from
the
the
AP.
law, yeah, from the law enforcement perspective, APDs, we would not want to limit our ability to affect arrests on low-level crimes, so.
And just as a reminder to the to council members, we did take an oppose if asked positioned at the 2:10 committee meeting.
I just wanted to see if you wanted to add more to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then Chief, from the APD side, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Not right now? Okay, all right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on. Yes.
I'm sorry. Somebody from the wall is calling. I was just going to jump in on Rep. Bacon's bill and add to what Judge Day said. There certainly are problems with the bill, a lot of concern that's been expressed. Rep. Bacon is considering potentially making this a task force. So I think unless this bill gets dramatically amended and maybe made into a study, that it's going to have a hard time moving forward. So just wanted to add that in.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Marcano, do you have any comments on Judge Day's update or any of the court bills?
No, ma'am, I'm just actually in agreement with a comment that Councilmember Zvonek mentioned regarding wanting some more information from DAs to weigh in on the DV aspect. So
Okay.
that,
All right. Thank you. Okay, legislative positions. Liz, you're up.
So thank you, everyone. We have several items to bring forward today. So we'll be starting with support if asked. The first one is House Bill 1223, Task Force to Prioritize Grants to a Target Population. So this bill would create a task force in order to study and identify goals, objective guidelines, and prioritize grant applications and assist in securing grant funding for the reduction of youth violence, suicide, and delinquency. So we are asking a support of ask because as the bill doesn't immediately impact the city, there could be financial benefits that come from this study, as well as assistance down the road in applying for grants to address youth violence prevention and other areas such as suicide and delinquency.
Councilmember Zvonek and Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any questions in which position?
No questions, and I'm fine with that position.
Okay, same as well.
So the next bill is Senate Bill 23-031, Improve Healthcare Access for Older Coloradans. Councilmember Lawson brought this bill forward to the city to identify and see if we could support it. The recommendation from staff is to support if asked. And the bill would create a Colorado multidisciplinary healthcare provider access training program that would be done through the medical campus here in Aurora. And while it doesn't affect the city directly, it would be beneficial to our citizens. So that's why we're asking support if asked.
And I actually got this from our older adults, our commission for the older adults, and they gave a list of legislative items. A lot of the items wasn't actually related to the city, but this one I felt could relate it to the city. They had like about 5 or 6 legislative things that they were working on, and I just have the city staff review it, and this is the one that I think is more connected or has a nexus to the city and for our older adults.
Can I just get a better explanation? So it puts together like a task force that trains, what is it, who?
So it would have the Anschutz Medical Campus develop, implement, and administer the program. So the medical campus specifically would be running this, and this would allow them to do it per state guidelines and guidance.
Program.
Sorry?
What is the program?
Oh, it's basically to ensure training for medical personnel on how to better care for older patients or geriatric patients.
Oh, yeah, that's a great explanation. I support it.
Okay. Councilmember Zvonek, I do too. Thank you.
So all the next ones are actively opposed. The first one is the one that Judge Day mentioned, 1222, cases of domestic violence in municipal court. I'm not sure if we want to kind of revisit. I think Judge Day gave a great explanation on it. But obviously the city is concerned about protecting victims and securing our authority as a municipality. So the recommendation from staff is actively opposed.
I know we opposed it, but we need to say it on the record. Councilmember Zvonek,
Yeah, opposed.
Councilmember Jurinsky. Same for me.
Great. The next 2 bills are quite lengthy in terms of the staff reasoning. So I'll go over a few of the main points, but everything is detailed in the packet, just so for the sake of time. So for Senate Bill 23-105, it's ensure equal pay for equal work. So what this would essentially do is require for employers that for each job opportunity and promotional opportunity where the employer is considering more than one candidate, they have to follow some specific guidelines about posting. And then for all opportunities, they will have to disclose who has been selected for that opportunity. The reason why there are a lot of concerns with this bill is, and as noted in the rationale, is that they are redefining some definitions that have already been defined in regulation, such as career development, career progression, promotional opportunity, and job opportunity. As these were already defined, it doesn't really make sense to redefine them. And then it would just kind of add to the confusion of what the city would need to do. It also codifies that the closing date must be at least 5 days away from the announcement of the job posting. So if you wanted to end the promotion or application date sooner, you would not be able to do that. And then it also requires a competitive selection process. What that means has not been defined in the bill. And staff notes that it could lead to litigation or extensive burdensome regulation put through the state through the regulatory process. It is lengthy, so I do apologize, but after whatever candidate has been chosen for the job, the employer would be required to send a notification of who got that position to everyone that that person would be working with. So I guess an example, if I was hired and this bill is in place, there would have to be an email out to everyone that I would potentially work with on who I am, what my title would be, what my previous title was as well, and then how employees could potentially go and get my position in the future or other promotional opportunities. Staff thinks this is just incredibly burdensome to have to do and really just limits the work that would need to be done on this. So that is why the position is actively opposed.
Is there any, Councilmember Zvonek and Councilmember Jurinsky, do you support the staff position? Do you have questions?
No questions and yes.
Okay, same for me.
Okay, this is the other bill that has a pretty lengthy rationale for oppose, but it is Senate Bill 23-172, Protecting Opportunities and Workers' Rights. So this bill would essentially have a new definition of harass and harassment and repeal the current definitions. It also would specify then that in harassment claims, alleged conduct does not need to be severe or pervasive to constitute as discrimination or as unfair employment practices. So basically what that would do would be to expand the liability for employers. It really rejects kind of like the long-standing and pervasive application of what harassment is, so that employers could really be held liable for what could be considered as trivial slights in the workplace. In addition to that, it removes a lot of the language providing a defense for employers where the employee had failed to bring harassment forward. So the city could still be liable even if they did not know that harassment was occurring. There's a lot of rationale on this one. So the bill also declares as void NDAs that restrict discussing alleged unfair employment practices. And overall, this would really interfere with the municipality's home rule authority. The act is heavily weighted in favor of plaintiffs. It increases the liability for the city. And because of that, staff is recommending to actively oppose the legislation.
Member Jurinsky and Councilmember Zvonek, do you have any comments or questions? And then what's your position?
No questions or comments and fine with the position.
Me as well.
And then the last item is an informational item update. I wanted to circle everyone so we close the loop on this item, but at the February 24th meeting, I brought forward the Colorado Air Quality Control Commission Commission proposed rules. We had discussed them, and the city, we were able to take a interested party stance so we could review fully what the regulation would mean for the city and what position we could bring, or if we wanted to bring one to this committee. After we've reviewed it, staff decided not to bring forward a recommendation as the regulation would not impact the city, as there is no consequences or fiscal impact for non-compliance with the regulation. So due to us not really having an interested or a party status, we would pull the interested party status from the regulation. However, we would still have the opportunity to submit comments in the future if we wanted to. I really want to make note of that, because if there is something that randomly happens between now and then, we still do have that opportunity. We would just no longer be registered as an interested party.
Yeah, I did. So why would it not, you're saying it wouldn't impact the city?
Correct.
The rules, but this would it would impact the city and that it would impact our businesses.
Yes, what staff is looking at is if it would impact the city directly as its own entity.
Right.
If it would impact other businesses, they would have the opportunity as well to comment and provide input on this regulation. But as the city as an entity, there is no consequence to us.
Yeah, but there is consequence to the businesses that support us, with taxpayers and jobs provided for the city. So I think we should continue to take we should take a position, an active position against it. Would be my view.
That was my same argument for 118 or 1118, so I would also support that.
Okay, so I'll agree with Councilmember Zvonek to take a position of, we're going to actively oppose on this whenever it comes up.
As in whenever it comes up as to ask for a position, because I just need clarification, I'm sorry. As I'm bringing this forward as informational only,
Yeah.
When we do take a position, I would bring this forward as a position statement. Right now, as staff, we don't have a position, so we can reevaluate and then bring something forward. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to be sure that I know it's due.
Is there anything else, Liz, on the state legislative update?
No, that concludes my segment.
Councilmembers Zvonek and Jurinsky, do you guys have anything else from the legislation piece that you want to discuss beyond what we have in the packet? No. Okay, all right. Water update. Is Kathy here? Kathy, hi, it's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Everything's been covered for the CDS. I just wanted to thank you for your support on the water applications. And an informational item, our water tour this year is confirmed for August 15th and 16th. That's a Tuesday and Wednesday, and we hope that you can join us.
Well, thank you, Kathy, for that update. Anything for Kathy on any kind of water issues, legislation? Councilmember Marcano?
None.
Okay, all right. So, any miscellaneous matters for consideration from the committee? Okay, March 24th, we're gonna have a change. I wanted to ask the committee, and I don't know, I have a conflict at 1 o'clock. So I wanted to know either if we could go early or we can have the meeting on another day. And that one will be virtual.
What does early mean?
If we, I guess if we could have the meeting before, just say, let me just get my calendar, I'm sorry. If we could have it in the morning time, maybe 9, 10,
I can't do 10.
Okay.
I can do,
unless you want to go on another day. I just can't do 1 o'clock.
I can only do after 10.
Yeah, or I could do
11 or noon.
I just can't do noon at all.
Can you do 11?
I don't want to put it at 11 because I don't know what is going to happen.
Got it. So you want to
So
move to another day?
if we can move it to another day, I would appreciate it.
What would you-
I could do Thursday, but I don't know what your schedules are like. Mine's pretty open right now.
The 23rd.
Mhm.
I could do kind of mid-morning from 10:30 on till 30.
So 12:30?
I can do 10:30.
Okay. Is there possible that we can maybe have that meeting at 10:30?
Yes, we will get that
Okay,
coordinated.
thank you, Councilmember Jurinsky and Zvonek, for making your schedule. I just had a schedule change there. Can everybody, Judge Dave, will you be able, well, even if you can't, that one's virtual, so you might be able to. Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned for today. Thank you, everybody. You get your life back. You thought when you saw this packet.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that if you came and didn't sign in, please do sign in. It just helps with the minutes when we do them.